Two men, two microphones, one movie, a couple of beers, and some wildly outlandish critiques about the movies you may or may not love. The following review will have massive spoilers and possibly offensive commentary. This content may not be suitable for little bitches. Brought to you by Goat Straw Entertainment and some liquid courage.
Hi, welcome back, movie lovers. Welcome back to another episode of Not Your Everyday Critics. I'm your host, George Lugo.
I'm David Raby.
And if you haven't seen the show before, what we do is rate, review, and critique movies of every genre, budget, and type.
Every movie.
Every movie. So, I mean, yeah. And all movies or movies just in general are subjective. You know, not every movie is built for everybody. Movies are built for somebody. Mm-hmm. So, you know, have an open mind and then...
Like a niche market for someone.
Yeah, very niche, yeah. So have a very open mind and, you know, let us pick at your brain here with this critique. So today we are going to be reviewing Malcolm X.
Spike Lee joint.
The Spike Lee joint. 1992, starring Denzel Washington.
Oh, Denzel, man.
Oh, I am so excited. This I had never actually seen it before until recently.
You told me, yeah.
And I love Denzel's one of my favorite actors of all time because he's a monster.
Oh.
And this movie just like helped solidify it even more, you know?
It's young Denzel, like, I'm not even going to say at its prime because he's still making great fucking movies, and every character he just nails the hell out of that role.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't think he's, like, I had this discussion with you before. I don't think he's done a bad movie. Even his shittiest movie, which is Virtuosity, has to be, was still kind of good.
Yeah. I haven't seen that one. So
it's him and Russell Crowe, and like he's a detective, and Russell Crowe's a computer program. They're trying to figure out how to like beat this computer program, and then Russell Crowe comes out of the computer program. It's a trip. It's really a trip.
That
but
sounds
it's
like a cyberpunk movie we got to review one of these days.
We'll definitely get to that because it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie. But right now we're gonna be reviewing Malcolm X. I'm gonna do a quick synopsis of the movie. Biographical epic of the controversial and influential black nationalist leader from his early life and career as a small-time gangster to his ministry as a member of the Nation of Islam.
That's right. You want to give it cheers?
Yeah, let's do that.
So today's drink we're drinking, it's called Malcolm X tea. So while he was in prison, he taught in his autobiography book, Malcolm X, he speaks about a drink that he would drink in prison to help get rid of the edge from like kind of the come down of drugs, I guess it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I guess in the movie they show it's just like water and nutmeg, but someone came up with the actual cocktail. And so now we're drinking it in his honor. It's called Malcolm X tea. So
Malcolm X iced tea.
there you go. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. It really is refreshing.
Oh, God, it's so good. The ingredients on this, they sound like really odd.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes together very fucking well.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
I really, because it has gin in it. And on top of that, 151 rum. So I was like, but I mean,
It's really fucking good.
it's really good. It's very refreshing. Very refreshing.
I like it.
So what do you say we,
Let's get on with it.
let's get on with it. Let's get on with it. So we're going to run you through the intro. So about the first 15 minutes. So the movie starts off with a monologue, and it's, you know, Denzel or Malcolm, and he's going through his
One of his speeches.
one of his speeches, and as this is happening, we're getting glimpses of a flag.
Yeah, it's like a giant
American flag, like sewn, like it's stitched up in like a really cool pattern. And then there's flashes of the Rodney King beating.
Yeah.
And then the flag starts burning, but it's burning into the shape.
It starts on the edges.
It starts on the edges.
And it slowly comes into the middle, and it forms a giant
an X.
And it's fucking badass, dude.
Yeah, so they close on that monologue, and then we actually jump into the story, and we see Shorty, and who is actually played by Spike Lee. So the first person we see in the movie is Spike Lee, and he's getting his shoes shined.
It's just so funny,
right? So he's getting his shoes shined, and then he's like, all right, he's done. He gets his, his little helper is carrying his groceries, and he has his little zoot suit on. He's got his little badass little walk,
big feather.
He's got the swing going too. And so it turns out Shorty's he's a barber. So he goes to the barber shop. He's getting his thing. I don't know what he's doing here, but he's like cutting a potato in the beginning of the movie.
And he's putting it into a jar.
And he puts it into a jar.
I don't know if it's something to do with the starch.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
It was really weird. It was also kind of weird the way he was cutting it. He was cutting it into his hand instead of like on a flat surface. Yeah. And I'm like, that's the most dangerous way to cut anything. Either way, it's
weird to see at a barbershop. If you ever go to a barbershop and they're cutting potatoes, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck are we doing here?
All right, we're gonna have like a fade and like Chris cut fries. What's happening?
Was there a barbecue going on? What's going on?
But anyways, Shorty's there and he's like, hey, tell my boys I'm here. And like Denzel or Malcolm comes out of the back room and he's got like an afro. And what he's hoping to achieve at the barbershop is he wants to straighten his hair. Mm-hmm. So it's like this white relaxer makes the hair straight. I actually know exactly what this stuff is like because I used to use it when I was a teenager. It's incredibly painful if it gets on your skin. So you'll notice like they put Vaseline all around like his forehead, around his head, and kind of on his eyebrows. Yeah. But it still will get on your scalp and it's gonna burn. So like they're all scaring the shit out of Malcolm. They're like, oh, look what he did to my hair, and like
the guy's bald.
He's like bald. Yeah. He's all freaking out. And they're like, don't scare him, man. He's already scared enough.
It's a funny.
It's a very funny scene. So they do that, and then right after that, Malcolm and Shorty, they get dressed up, they get suited up, and they're just walking down the street. Mm-hmm. Shorty's like, you like this? He's like, get the rhythm going, get the rhythm going. Yep. And then they end up going to a dance. Yep. Like a club.
Hall, like a
club.
Like jazz swing
club.
Big band kind of thing.
Yeah. And it kind of threw me off because I wasn't expecting to see a big dance number in this movie, and especially so early on too. It literally happened within the first 15 minutes. A big dance number. People were doing flips and doing twirls and
choreographers, those dancers, man,
it's pretty good. Nuts, man. It's pretty on point.
To do in those kind of clothes of like loose fitting and everything, and the dresses and shit like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and then Malcolm's there dancing with this girl. I cannot remember her name. Laura. Yeah. Yeah, he's dancing with Laura, and then she has to go use the ladies' room, and then Malcolm's like, man, that is one fine woman right there. Mm-hmm. And then he sees
the only white woman in the club.
The only white woman there, yeah. And that's his next love interest, and that's Sophia. Yeah. And so Sophia tells him to come over, so he comes over, and she asks him to dance, and he's like, yeah, I'll dance. And then in the background, you see Laura. She's just coming out of the bathroom, eyeballing them as they're dancing. And she's like, why don't you take that young girl home and then come back? He's like, what? She's like, don't worry, it'll be here when you get back. Yeah. And that's roughly about the 15-minute mark. Because the dance number, I think, was like 7 minutes long. Yeah.
Spike Lee had his own little slide through at the end, too.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But that's the 15-minute mark. So I mean, there's a pretty good intro. I mean, for a movie that is like 3.5 hours long,
I think, solid. It's like almost 3 hours 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it was very telling as well as the intros because they're showing you certain aspects obviously of Malcolm's life, but these key aspects are like him sort of denying his natural hair, and going to like a jazz club and meeting a white woman kind of thing, especially in those this is 1940.
I think this is before. This is like while the war is going on, but not before it's over. So I'm assuming it's probably like what
45, 44.
I think it's a little bit earlier, 42 maybe, 43.
Might be.
They didn't specify.
They just said the war years.
Just war years. Like, so okay, yeah.
But yeah, that's. Obviously back then, segregation and Jim Crow laws and everything like that. So I'm pretty sure, black people would have their own sort of club if they were able to. And then for a white woman to be, definitely be odd.
It would definitely be odd. Yeah. Right? I don't understand how she even got to stay there because they probably would have just shoot her away.
Yeah. Like what?
Especially if she was by herself.
Mm-hmm. Because then that's going to open up a whole book of fucking trouble. Like, she can claim something, accuse someone of something, and put people away for fucking years, man.
Yeah, but I believe the intro was pretty solid though.
Mhm.
It was so powerful and moving in the very beginning because, I mean, if you don't know who Rodney King is, you don't know anything about the L.A.
If you're young
riots.
enough
If
to-
you're that young, like you should definitely look it up. I mean,
We were talking about that, dude. Like
it was pretty.
we were
it
kids
was
watching that shit on TV.
it was pretty intense and eye opening because like this movie like takes place between like the early war years and then when he gets assassinated, which is 65.
Yeah.
Right, so there's roughly 25 years there for him to grow as a person.
I think he died in February 65.
I think
Swear
so,
to God.
actually. But for him to grow as a person, and we get to see him at his worst when he's basically being manipulated by
Society,
the
I guess,
society, and then
growing
what
up-
they claim to be like the white man society.
like he grew up in a poverty area, like
Yeah.
especially they flash back here and there to his early life when he was a
early
kid
life when
and
he
the
was a
shit
kid.
that happened to him and his family. Like his dad, all his uncles all were murdered by white people.
Mhm.
His dad was murdered by the Klan.
The Klan.
The court records they denied. So they had like a life insurance policy which they denied because they claimed it was an accident. I mean, he got ran over by a rail train,
Yeah, they were saying that he hit himself on the back of the head with
a hammer.
had the hammer of the gun, right? The butt of the gun,
Something, yeah.
and then laid on a track and allowed himself to be run over by a
trolley
train.
car, yeah.
Like what?
It-
Who's doing suicide by train?
Right, of all the fucking things. But obviously he speaks of the Klan. They burned his house down when he was younger, and
Yeah.
they had to move. His father was a preacher, like a minister, and he
Mhm.
believed in Marcus Garvey, the words of Marcus Garvey, and Pan-Africanism. And so that they just, I don't know, Klan people, they just hate black people. That's all they fucking do, man. It's
I know.
fucked up.
They keep saying the good white Christians.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm just like
fucking
it's,
horseshit.
it's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, and I don't want to go too far back into the thing, but I do like that Spike Lee opened up with the speech,
Right.
and with the Rodney King meeting, because like even in today's society, and that was '92,
This shit's
and,
still happening.
and it's literally still
Like
happening.
nothing's
I mean,
fucking changed, dude.
we have made progress. We can't deny that, but the
Ooh, boy.
fact that it's not like eradicated after literally like 60 years.
Let me hit you with this, dude. This is a Malcolm X quote. It says, "If you stick a knife 9 inches into my back and pull it out 3 inches, that's not progress. Even if you pull it out all the way, that's still not progress. Progress is healing the wound, and America hasn't even begun to pull out the knife."
Damn. That's
Hard. That's the truth.
pretty intense right there.
yeah.
And real.
So that's
Very
what,
real.
it's important for us to understand, obviously, what these people have gone through and what, the black community has gone through and what they're still going through. And we have to come together to try and fix it.
We definitely need to fix it. I mean, it's entirely disgusting that this is still a thing like in society.
Mm-hmm.
And not just for black people, but for like all minorities, for every race. It's every race has issues with I guess Americans or the whites or whatever, like however you want to label them. Every minority has an issue with them racially,
Well,
and
because every minority has always been oppressed by them.
Yeah.
So it's like we're
Yeah.
tired of it,
yeah,
Like even my dad, I told you about how he, experienced like during the civil rights movement, like he was dark skinned, obviously,
Mhm.
and so he couldn't go into like certain restaurants. Like they would kick him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he experienced shit like that too.
I think that's pretty crazy that your dad actually experienced that.
Yeah. So that's why, like,
firsthand.
if the
Yeah.
movies like this, they hit home for me. Like watch shit like this, and I think back, I'm like, holy fuck, my pop like went through some of this shit. Like this is what he had to deal with.
Yeah, he's like he couldn't even go get lunch.
Nope.
That's rough.
He was a fucking U.S. Army, just got out of basic
Served
training,
his time,
went into Louisiana.
fought for this country, and they were like, "You can't eat here."
Can't eat here. It's too dark. He's like, I don't care what kind of meat you serve. I just want to eat. That's what Pop said. And they kicked him out. Yeah.
That's pretty funny. So let's before we continue like a 40-minute rant, let's jump into the cast really quick.
Let's go.
So obviously Denzel Washington is playing Malcolm X. Angela Bassett is Betty Shabazz. Albert Hall,
She's amazing.
Baines, yeah, she is great. Al Freeman Jr. is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Delroy Lindo, West Indian Archie.
I love him
I love him
so much.
so
dude.
much. so much.
And you got to watch Crooklyn, dude. Oh,
We'll watch that. We'll watch that. Spike Lee.
Shorty.
Teresa Randall is Laura. Kate Vernon, Sophia. Lynette McKee is Louise Little. Tommy Hollis, Earl Little. James McDaniel, Brother Earl. Ernest Thomas is Sidney. Let me see here. Jean-Claude Lemaire is Benjamin. 2X as John Lemire. Okay.
Yeah.
O.L. Duke is Pete. Larry McCoy is Sammy. Maurice Sneed is Cadillac. Debbie Mazar is Peg. Phyllis Yvonne Stickney is Honey. Let's do a few more here.
Yeah, there's
Scott Anthony Robinson is Daniel. And Sonny Jim Gaines is Choli as James E. Gaines. And then we will give a nod or a cheers to the rest of the cast, and thank you, Spike Lee, for making such a great film.
yes.
Cheers.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. All right. So, cast, fantastic.
Amazing, dude.
Even Spike Lee, like, even he always does. I feel like because he does put himself in his films quite frequently. I like that he does that. It's fun, you know. It's fun that he does that. And he becomes a part of. He becomes a part of his own project, you know. And a lot of people see that as like a negative, but I don't think so.
I think when it's done tastefully, it looks good.
He did it pretty tastefully. It was actually very funny in the beginning. So
I think one of the things too, like if you ever watch this movie, you'll realize how many extras there were. There's like a shit ton of people that were there.
So much.
And for them to really emphasize and show the excitement, or to be able to convey all the emotions that they're supposed to be feeling at that time as a crowd, to be able to get all the people riled up like that, man, that was really amazing. And some of the shots in this movie, like the scene where
the Joe Lewis,
the Joe Lewis scene, dude,
yeah,
everything, man, it was just fucking.
That was like, I remember I was mentioning to you, I'm like, that's like a scene where it's very powerful because he's like, Joe Lewis is like one of the best boxers of all time.
Oh yeah.
Right. And then for him to have that big victory, and then Spike Lee's like, he's like, we're going to recreate this. And it's like, I'm going to pay you guys to have a good time for Joe Lewis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's like amazing.
So cool.
There's so many people on that street too. Like when
it's
pans up,
it looks so much. It looks like it was so much fun just to be there, I'm like, you don't even have to pay me. I just want to be there.
Just be there. Just pay me in food and tell me what to do, and you got it.
Pay me in food. So, okay. So let's, I don't think we need to talk anymore about the cast because
we can go on.
Yeah, we can go on about that. We'll pick up on that with a later category. So let's jump into the director. So
Spike Lee has been around.
For a long time. He has 130 credits just for directing.
Holy shit, that many?
He has a lot.
I didn't know it was that much.
He has a lot.
God damn.
And so when Malcolm X was made, he had already done quite a few movies. Jungle Fever, Mo Better Blues.
Oh man, that's a movie too.
Public Enemy, Do the Right Thing.
Do the Right Thing.
Experience Unlimited. I'm not sure what that is actually.
I think he did Crooklyn too before as well.
I think Crooklyn is after.
Are you sure? I thought it was like 89 or 88.
She's Gotta Have It. That was a big one for him. That was really big. The Answer. These were all before Malcolm X.
Yeah, he's a very well established director, and he's got great taste, man.
He's got great taste.
I know we'll get into it later, but the camera angles and the music and everything is just
yeah. Crooklyn was
after. Oh, okay, never mind.
94.
My bad.
But I mean, as far as direction goes, you can't deny how talented Spike Lee is, and I like that he took so much time and he made this movie incredibly long. And I feel like this movie should be long. And a lot of movies that are about historical figures should be a little bit longer, and you should get to see a little bit more
the character development.
Exactly, of the character development.
It should be almost a series.
Yeah, that would be really good.
There's actually a series. I believe it's still out now. It's on Netflix. Who Killed Malcolm X? I think it's like a 6-part docuseries.
Okay.
Probably about the truth of who kind of killed Malcolm X. We'll get into that a little.
We'll get into that in a little bit later. Yes, I mean 3.5 hours, which is good, and I felt they spent a lot of that time showing you how Malcolm X literally, how he grew up and how he basically changed his entire life and became like a big not like a political leader, but like
a
civil
activist.
rights activist, and it's fucking phenomenal. You know, to
amazing.
see that the transformation
Yeah.
and the way that he captured it by telling his story literally from the beginning was great. Because a lot of times they'll skip some of the like that stuff, and they'll get a small taste of it, but then they'll really lean into like the end of his life. But that's not really what we want to see. We want to see who he was as a person.
I agree with that, because most directors will probably just show you only certain parts, like certain time frames of that person's life, and only what they really want you to see. But this just covers all of it. It lays it all out. No fucking filter. No holds bars. It's an incredible life, and fuck, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely amazing. I mean, this movie was fantastic. I actually watched it twice back to back.
good.
So
Because I remember, see, this is why I knew, obviously, growing up, my brother was always very, big on, the civil rights and everything. And obviously, so was my dad, too.
Mhm.
But I remember my brother would always have, like, the books and, like, posters of Malcolm X. And so I grew up with that image of Malcolm X. And then when this movie, we started renting it, it kind of became one of those movies that we rented over and over again from Blockbuster kind of thing. Because it's just a fucking incredible movie, dude.
Yeah.
It was a 2 fucking VHS.
Oh yeah, 2
It
VHS.
was a double stack, man.
Yeah, the double stacks.
Yep.
I remember those. Jeez. Yeah. So no, without a doubt, direction, like Spike Lee, he's a master of his craft.
Mm-hmm.
A master of his craft. So let's move on to writing. So this is based off of like Malcolm X's life, and it's kind of like an autobiography,
I
like
think
a
it's
biopic.
loosely based off his autobiography. Yeah.
So the screenplay is done by Arnold Pearl and Spike Lee. Yeah, and based off of the autobiography, Malcolm X, and Alex Haley. Haley also did an autobiography, Malcolm X. Okay. I mean,
I think the writing was amazing
I think it was really good.
because it's as much as this movie has to cover as far as his whole entire life. It's easy to follow. There's not much confusion. Well, I think sometimes there's a bit of the confusion when the characters are arguing with each other. For example, when his father, Earl Little, is arguing with the Klansman.
Oh.
It seems like, it's kind of back. You kind of have to hear.
You have to really pay attention to it, yeah.
But, I mean, you get the gist of it. Like, Klansmen are burning down their house and he's shooting at them.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely fair.
I like when he's like, you have these here bullets. I'm like, reach for the skies, honky.
His mom's like, you should have shot them crackers dead.
Mm-hmm. Man.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for his mom, too, because after the death of his father, she was stuck raising all the kids, and she had kind of went insane. She had gone into a mental
She went to a mental institution. Yeah.
And it was pretty sad, and that's when the kids, they got separated and were into foster cares and everything. So,
Yeah. It's rough.
yeah. The movie makes mention of that, but I'm pretty sure the book obviously goes into a bit more
Sure, it
detail.
goes into depth, for sure. It goes into depth. All right, so let's talk about the historical accuracy. So, I mean, this is probably you're gonna have a more of a depth of knowledge on this, because I don't know too much about like Malcolm X's his life. I never read his autobiography.
To be fair, I've never read his autobiography either. I need to
Okay.
buy that. But, I mean, I'm aware of some parts of it.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, as far as this movie is concerned, like, it's relatively it's accurate, I think. I would say so.
Okay. I'm only gonna go based off of the movie, and then I watched like an hour long interview with Spike Lee, and he goes into like depth. Like he's like, I went down to where Malcolm X like grew up, and he talked to the people that were still alive and knew Malcolm X. A lot of people. Like he talked to like, I think he said like almost 40 people.
That's a lot.
So he does his homework. So and it shows. The movie shows.
Every movie he does his homework.
He makes a funny like mention that like this movie probably would not have been as good if a white director had done it, just because they wouldn't have been able to get the same amount of information out of the people who knew Malcolm X. If someone like white were to approach them and ask them questions about Malcolm X's life.
Yeah, that's a true statement, because actually there was a little clip that I saw of Denzel being asked a question about, can a white director make a movie about, black someone in the black community or black culture, and he's like, well, yeah, they can, but the movie won't be as good because the difference is not color, it's culture.
Yeah.
The black people, they understand that culture because that's what they grew up in. That's their community. That's their home. So they understand how to portray that, the oppression, the racism, the prejudicism, they can make that happen. And so, yeah, I agree with that. Like, yeah, I honestly don't think the movie would be as powerful.
Probably not.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't have been as moving, for sure. Because
it's just like, obviously, Spike Lee understands where a lot of this is coming from. He grew up, I'm pretty sure he probably grew up with a lot of, hate and racism and prejudice, So.
Yeah.
But that's why we're here to talk about it, trying to end this shit, so.
I don't know if we're going to end it, but we're definitely going to discuss it. So
I'll try and heal.
So let's move on to our next category, which is actually, this is going to be the touchiest part, the touchiest one, is racism. And
it shows.
It definitely shows, like, 100% in this movie how racism, like, obviously was incredibly huge then. And so the civil rights movement was going to happen regardless. And it's crazy, actually, how long it took, from when there was slavery until the civil rights movement. It was a long time.
Do you know why the civil rights movement happened? Real quick. No, I don't want to go on too much, but it started after World War II. Well, technically during World War II. When our black soldiers went to England, when they were stationed there, they were treated the complete opposite than they were here in America. They were able to go into restaurants and sit down with other people. They were able to go into the bars and drink with other people. But the U.S. Army had a problem with that. And they ordered the British people to start putting up signs not allowing certain people of color to enter in certain, establishments. You know what the British people did?
Oh.
They obliged.
Really?
And they put up signs. And it says, colors only. But that was the whole point. It's like these heroes that fought for America, fighting fascism, fighting Nazis, and they come back home and they realize that we're getting treated better over in England, and they're getting their shit kicked to them when they come home, and they're like, you know what, fuck this, man. I fought for this goddamn country. I want the same rights. I want to be a person. I want to be free. And
we're human. We're all,
yeah.
No matter what, that's the thing that always blew my mind is, like, no matter what color you are, you're a human being.
Yeah.
The color of your skin doesn't dictate, that you're not human.
Like, your characters, like what's inside here, what's inside here,
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Judgment and character. Yeah. And sadly, even till today, there's still a lot of racism happening. A lot. And we've seen it probably a shit ton within the last 2 years, especially with
it's been boiling up.
Yeah, especially with like George Floyd and stuff. And then there was that stabbing. What was it I think it was last year. No, it was like late 2020. A mother and a young child, Asian. This is like when the Asian hate thing was happening too. Mm-hmm. They were stabbed in a parking lot of like I think a Sam's Club in like Texas or something.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I don't even know if the boy lived, to be honest. Yeah, and just because they were Asian, like, yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, it's fucked up, man. Like like you said, we're literally all human. We're sharing the same fucking planet.
Exactly. And that's why Jesse Jackson said the best thing. We're stuck here together.
Yeah. Like, in America, like I always thought, was like, the melting pot. Like everybody coming all over the world to come here and come together and help make this country fucking cool.
Right. It's like they want other nations to come here, but they don't want to give them rights. It's like, yeah, that's some bullshit.
That's bullshit, dude. Yeah.
It's like they want to take like all the good stuff from their other countries and then send them back with bullshit.
It's
not cool.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it here sometimes, but trying to make a difference, trying to
just be the best you. Be good to people,
Exactly. There you go. That's a good one, George.
Yeah. We say we move on to our next category. So, overcoming prejudice.
I don't think we overcome it. Like, it's not overcome.
Not entirely.
It still happens.
It's still happening.
Yeah. And clearly the movie states, like, obviously he doesn't overcome it. He was assassinated.
Yeah, he was assassinated. It was...
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like every fucking powerful black voice that came out of the civil rights movement, they were assassinated. There's no way around it.
Yeah. Yeah. They were all assassinated.
It's
Pretty terrible, actually.
well, okay, so obviously we're gonna touch on the subject a little later in another episode, so stick around for that. But all of this kind of coincides with the FBI's program, the COINTELPRO, counterintelligence.
The counterintelligence, yeah.
Where J. Edgar Hoover was just after people that were
That guy is
civil rights.
such a piece of shit.
Fuck that guy, dude.
I'm sorry, but
What a piece of shit.
such a piece
Yeah.
of shit.
I don't care what your thoughts are,
Yeah.
J. Edgar Hoover. Like, we're not trying to, be homophobic here.
Yeah.
But he is just a genuinely shitty fucking person.
He's not a good person.
No, he is not. He was after people that shouldn't be a fucking enemy. That all the black community wanted was just to be free and not be beaten up or killed by cops, which is still fucking happening.
Just be human beings.
And he was like, "They're the enemy. Go kill them or go infiltrate whatever they're trying to organize." It's fucking, it's dog shit, dude.
It's astounding,
Yeah.
that people have that mentality.
I don't fucking get it.
I don't get it. I don't know. Hopefully someday in the near future, all of that will be resolved, especially because that older generation they're dying. That older generation is dying out, but they are passing some of that stuff on to a newer generation. But we have the whole woke culture now. So that's definitely helping. And I'm not a big fan of everything.
Not a lot
the
of
woke culture, but I like a lot of some of the things that they're actually putting out there. So I mean, it's a step in the right direction.
Right.
So as long as we just keep that up, I mean, there's hope. There's hope.
I'm still holding on to hope, man. But we just still got to keep fighting, got to keep trying. Every single day, got to do better.
Every day, got to do better. All right, so let's move on to our next category: performance. Oh boy,
we're gonna spend another 30 minutes talking about performance alone, dude.
We might. Denzel Washington not only was or resembled Malcolm X, but Spike Lee said that when they were shooting, it was scary how close he was to actually just being Malcolm X. Damn. It was on point for him.
I mean, when you watch the film,
and
you see it. Denzel embodies Malcolm X, man. When he's up on that podium, and he's up speaking, for the Nation of Islam, and he's like, you brothers and sisters, what's out there. It just it comes out, and you see it, man. When he puts on those glasses,
yeah,
he's just amazing.
He definitely kills it. He definitely has the strongest role. I think probably after that, my next favorite performance would probably have to be West Indian Archie.
I think
Baines is really good.
Malcolm X's wife.
Yeah,
she did an amazing job.
Yeah,
too.
She did a really good job. Yeah,
it was interesting to see her sort of input too. I mean, not input, but her character's aspect of things. How, because she was also a member of the Nation of Islam. She's like, how are we supposed to behave? How are the women, supposed to act like that? And he's just like, just basically be yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah, just be yourself and just don't be a slut, basically.
Yeah, I guess back then slut shaming was obviously still prevalent, but
yeah.
But now you can do whatever the fuck you want because you can do anything you want. Yeah, just don't be racist. That's it. That's all we ask for. You ready for another one?
Oh yeah, I'm ready for another one of these.
Sorry, we're kind of doing this impromptu, kind of thing, but it's just me here and George.
Yeah, so I think
I dropped another cue. Go ahead.
All right, so I think we should talk about some of the weaker performances.
What do you think?
I want to go with probably Laura. She doesn't have she's not in the movie that long.
She wasn't in Malcolm's life that long.
Yeah, so I mean that's fine. Her performance was just mediocre. Right. I would have to also say probably Spike Lee compared to Denzel. Compared to Denzel, it's like night and day.
But I think it was necessary because Spike Lee, he had to be there. He had to
He
be
had to
sort
be.
of that
He
guide
had to
for
be
Denzel.
that guide for him. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I think the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But granted, I have no idea what that guy was like in real life.
Yeah, I've never
so
even seen any like interviews or how
Yeah.
he spoke really, but
yeah,
it was weird. I don't know, man.
the accent were like really threw me off. So
I don't know if that's how he spoke either, so
I don't know.
I can't really say much.
yeah,
But what I will say is that scene when Malcolm first meets the Honorable Elijah Muhammad,
so powerful,
it's
so powerful.
tears are just falling and like snot's coming out of his
Yeah.
nose, and he's just standing there, just keeping it together. It's like, how amazing of an actor do
It's-
you have to be to fucking let that shit happen, man?
Well, it's so believable too, because
Yeah.
like you can tell that he's in awe to be in his presence,
Mhm.
and also like he doesn't know how to act
Yeah.
around him. So it's I don't understand how you fake that. It's so believable
There's got to
too.
be some sort of layer
right?
of realism, man.
Jesus Christ, it's so believable. Yeah. Like Denzel's he's next level good. Next level good.
Next level, good. I think he's just great, man. All around. Everything he's done is great.
So good. Yeah.
Totally forgot about this one. So what I did is just prepared the second batch for the Malcolm X tea inside this little shaker here, and usually I'm off screen and
Yeah.
shaking things up,
Manny's gonna be out a couple episodes.
which is
So-
fine. You guys don't really like Manny, right?
Yeah.
Comment down below whether you're not like whether or not you like Manny.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back in a couple episodes.
That's good.
I say we move on to our next category then, because performance. Obviously, we're just gonna
We're gonna sit here and just
just
an hour long.
yeah
of
and talk
fucking
about how
everybody's performance,
amazing how Denzel is.
yeah. Basically.
So I think we should talk about framework, and there's a lot of great framework in here. I still think one of my favorites is when Malcolm goes to the jail, county jail, and he walks there with the people from the Nation of Islam. And they demand to see
Brother Johnson. I
Brother
believe it is.
Johnson.
Excuse us for a second. Sorry. I know. I gotta get these drinks going.
so that they demand to see Brother Johnson, and then the cops are just basically like, "Fuck you, get out of here."
Yeah, like
You
who
know?
the hell are you?
And he's all like, why don't you take a look out that window? And he goes to look out the window, and the second he moves the curtain and looks out the window, like there's 2 rows of people from the Nation of Islam there, and the second he looks out, they all look up and left or up and right simultaneously.
It's
Just
like a snap.
they just like snap up and they,
What are you looking at, white man?
and then he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't remember the other cop's name. He's like, come here, Bob. Like,
Some shit.
yeah. He's like, and so they basically get to see Brother Johnson, and then Brother Johnson is completely fucked up in a holding cell.
He's beat up.
And he's like, call an ambulance. So they bring him down. They throw him into the ambulance. He goes to the hospital, and the cop's like, you got what you wanted. He's like,
Not yet, I haven't.
he's all like, getting that now, get out of here. And he's like, nope, not satisfied. And he's like, to the hospital. And they march to the hospital.
March.
They march to the
An
hospital.
entire crowd of organized, like, to the fucking T, black men, and eventually black women, too. Just the entire black community marches to the fucking hospital.
And what's great is like, as they're marching, people are joining in from like just random shops and just
They don't-
stores and whatnot.
Yeah, they come out
joining
of the movie
in.
theater and they're like, what the hell's going
Yeah.
on?
And then they finally get to the hospital, and then they're just lined up outside, and then they're waiting to hear from the doctor, and then I guess like either the chief of police or like one of the sheriffs shows up,
Something like that.
and he's like, "Hey man, can you guys just disperse?" And they're like, "Nope," and they're still waiting because he's not satisfied yet. Then the doctor comes out. He's like, Brother Johnson's gonna make it.
He's going to be all right, yeah.
He's gonna be all right. And so that's when Malcolm turns,
I love that shot, dude. He's like,
and he's like, boom.
just walk out. He doesn't say shit. He just looks
Just
at the cop.
looks
and
at
he
the cop.
puts his hand up, and he's like, points an arrow. Or like points his finger, and
and then everyone just disperses.
marching again.
They start marching out, and it's amazing. It's
a very
amazing.
powerful fucking scene, dude.
And the cop is all like, "That's too much power for one man to have."
Right.
And that's a very powerful, very moving performance, and not just that, the way they shot it was incredible. Incredible.
I think any lower, if the camera were any lower, I don't think that scene would have been as powerful. That's why you had to have high.
You had to have a high
how
shot.
many fucking people were there.
Yeah, I like that they did that.
But dude, this is way better than the first batch. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff.
That's good stuff.
It's Malcolm X. You guys got to look it up. It's actually really fucking good.
So good. All right. Was there
There's a few scenes that I've
there's a lot.
There's a lot. And we've already probably gone on long enough, but
you can do
his assassination, like that God's eye view, and the camera's just over it, and like it's kind of like panning, and you see all the fucking just everyone like crowding around and fucking. It's such a moving scene, dude. It's so powerful too.
Yeah.
Especially that bit leading up to it, because my brother was the one that told me, which I don't know if it's in the actual autobiography or not, but I guess it's kind of known that Malcolm knew he was going to get assassinated that day. He just like had a feeling, and that's why that whole scene of him just kind of driving the car by himself.
He's kind of just like
that was him, like expecting it. Like he's like, I know I'm going to die today.
Probably coming to terms with it.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense because there's like when it starts to happen, he has like a little smirk.
Like, oh,
he has
what the fuck you gonna do?
I don't know if you noticed though. He has like a smirk.
Yeah,
like,
he's like, brothers,
like he was expecting it,
and he's just like, you ain't gonna do nothing, dude. And they fucking
you ain't gonna do nothing, dude.
And they assassinate him, But I think this all again goes back to the FBI's COINTELPRO, is that they were worried about there being what J. Edgar Hoover called a black messiah, a real big prominent figure in the black community and the civil rights movement that was going to be a very big and powerful voice that was going to, cause a lot of white people to feel uncomfortable about stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's why they had to assassinate Malcolm X. That's why they did Martin Luther King. Mm-hmm. And another film that we'll touch on next time if you guys tune in.
Yeah. So I think that'll basically cover the framework.
Yeah. There's so much going on in this film. Honestly, 3 hours for us, it's really nothing. I mean,
I love long movies.
Yeah.
Love them.
Sit, watch, got it. Cool. So, but I mean, if you have a short attention span, that's why the pause button is there. Just remember where you're at, But this is a film that is more than definitely worth the watch. You need to fucking see this film.
The next category is budget.
I do not know how much. I would imagine it'll be a lot.
It started out kind of low.
Really?
I wouldn't say low. I guess for the 92 is probably a decent sized budget. It started out at 20 million.
That's actually 92 million. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and then they went over budget, like 5 million. And
okay. Yeah.
It happens.
Worth every fucking penny in this movie.
And then what happened was Spike Lee got paid. He got paid $3 million to do the movie. Mm-hmm. He put in $2 million of his own to cover, and then he asked for some help from some big public figures. Right. Like he asked Oprah, Bill Cosby. Really? Yeah, he asked Janet Jackson, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson. He asked a bunch of these people, and they answered, and they gave him money as gifts, not donations, not money he had to pay back, but they gave him money as gifts to help him to get this project going and to finish this project, So
talk about the fucking black community coming together to get
to help him out. Like
I did not know that at all. Holy shit, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah. So, and it looks like overall, let's see, the film initially budgeted 28 million after his 3 and then everything they donated, and they climbed all the way up to 33 million.
That's that's fucking good, dude.
I'm sorry, climbed to 33 million with the donations, and his 2 put it at 35 million.
So that's almost $1 million each person that he asked from.
It's crazy.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. And
When the last time you heard of something like that, of a community coming together?
Yeah, he mentions that like Dan Aykroyd's the director, right?
Yeah.
So Dan Aykroyd, I think it was his first film or one of his first few films. He did a movie called Nothing But Trouble. Not sure if you've ever seen it.
No.
It stars Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd's in it. And it's a really, really weird movie. And the budget was $45 million. And I don't even think they made 10.
Wow.
It was a flopper. And he mentions
dead out of the gate.
He mentions they gave Dan Aykroyd like a huge budget for this bullshit film and it made nothing. And he's like, every movie I make, because he knows how he's very confident. Like I like listening to his
the way he speaks,
interview. He's very confident. He's like I make good movies and I see he sees a turnout.
Right.
Because the interviewer was like, he's like, have you ever not made a profit in any of your films? He's like, never. He's like, they always see profit. Because when he did that one of his first films was like $175,000,
right?
I think, and it budgeted it made $8 million in the box office.
Wow.
So that's
$175,000 that made $8 million.
Yeah, that's a big hit.
God damn,
that's a big hit. So that's why they sought him out for this movie. They were like,
wow.
Yeah, they're like, make us some more money.
Holy shit.
So, do you know what this movie made in the box office?
I don't even.
To be honest, I kind of wish it would have made more.
In my household, this movie was pretty big, considering the way I grew up. With my brother, having a role model was Malcolm X, and just seeing the books and the movies and the posters and everything like that. And my brother even at one time had the ring, the
nice, the
little star, the moon,
nice.
The Islamic.
Yeah,
ring.
the Islamic.
Yeah. Dude, so the budget was...
It got up to 35 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
92?
Unfortunately, it did not make that much.
Really?
Yes. So it made...
Okay, hold on, wait. Let me guess. Still.
Okay.
Carry the two. I don't know, 50 million?
Made more than that.
Okay.
It made 73 mil. So it made a little bit more than double. Technically, that's kind of a flop, but not really, because they made their money. Made their money back, and then they also got 35 mil.
Yeah.
So I mean,
well, as long as you make your money back, I mean.
Yeah, but the production companies want to see more than double.
Right.
The triples usually where they're at. They
did a lot for this movie because there's some scenes.
But the thing is, I felt like part of the issue. I think that this movie didn't do well, or people didn't go see it, was its length. A lot of people can't sit 3.5 hours in a movie theater. When this came out, it went to theaters. It came to the box office, and a lot of people can't sit in front of a movie for 3.5 hours.
Is this true? Everyone comment below. Can you sit for a 3.5 hour fucking movie?
Yeah,
I've done 5 hours, 5 fucking hours in a movie theater.
We've done Star Wars marathons, both trilogies.
Not in a movie theater, but still, we've done that a whole fucking day.
Yeah, we haven't done the third trilogy. That's literally a whole day. We can skip The Last Jedi.
Yeah,
we can just do 1 and 3.
I don't want to get into it in this episode, man. We're focused on fucking Malcolm X here.
So it's a little unfortunate that they only made a little over.
It is very unfortunate because this is a very powerful movie.
It really is.
I mean, you can fucking say, oh, for his time, Malcolm X is great. Like when you read his words and when you see this film, and if you're gonna be like me and fucking buy his book and read whatever he had to say. Nothing's fucking changed, dude. Time has gone on, but the treatment of how black people are in this country, nothing's changed, and it pisses you off. It's so mind-boggling. It's like, why the fuck has nothing happened?
Yeah,
I don't know, man. It's upsetting, very upsetting.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. The movie was very powerful, very moving, pretty accurate, and not just that, but the writing was very tight.
Mm-hmm.
They did a good job of that.
Didn't carry on with different.
And I was like, why wouldn't you want to go see more Denzel? 3 hours of Denzel? Yes, please.
I could watch 3 hours of Denzel. You know what movie I saw recently? The movie called The Little Things, where Denzel plays a sheriff.
Okay.
I think he was like a former detective, but then he went back to being a sheriff and shit like that.
Okay.
And there was like a serial killer, thing going on. Fucking Jared Leto's in there.
Ooh, I love Jared Leto. He's an underrated actor.
I think he is.
I really think he is. That guy's he's like a triple threat.
Mm-hmm.
He can sing, he can act. I believe he can dance.
When you watch Denzel in this movie, dude, like I could literally just watch the entire movie of focusing Denzel as a fucking sheriff in a small town. I'm fine with that, dude. 3 hours, I could sit with that, just watch Denzel like do his thing. I'm like, okay,
yeah, I'd be down with that. I'd be down with that. Yeah. I mean, look at him in The Equalizer. See that shit?
To be honest, I haven't seen either. I want
so
to.
good.
I want to, and I got to.
They're so good.
I have to.
So good. Both of them. They're both really good.
Glory. That movie, John Q.
John Q is one of my favorites. Absolutely.
His performance in that movie, goddamn.
Yeah. It's very moving. He's like, I'm not going to bury my son.
Mm-hmm.
My son is going to bury me.
It's going to get man. Every fucking time, dude.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
It's really good.
The Collector, when he's at sort of...
The Collector's really good. Yeah. Collector's really
Yeah,
good.
Denzel played that whole entire fucking movie from a fucking bed, and his performance
He's
in there is fucking incredible.
He's a paraplegic and shit. That's a good movie.
Yeah, dude.
Super good movie.
An incredible all-around actor, dude. Definitely one of the best, man.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate that it didn't make as much. It made enough to not hurt Spike Lee's career. So obviously,
Like this movie was gonna hurt Spike Lee's career.
it could have. I mean, it could have if it didn't make enough money. He
But-
wouldn't have gotten more opportunities
Like
to.
this movie would have been a flop, though.
I don't think it would have been
If it was a white director,
It would have been way worse.
I think so. Yeah.
Just imagine if, I don't know, Scorsese, Spielberg,
Don't get me wrong; those are great directors.
great directors, but they won't see this movie from the same perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to our last category, the outro. Did you want to take the outro, or?
I
me do
mean,
it?
from what I remember watching this film, the last just about 15 minutes is, obviously him being in the car, driving to do the speech, and him getting started. There's a commotion going on in the audience, and there's sort of an altercation going on, right?
So what happens is he's driving to the venue, and he's kind of stoic and really out of it because his family's been getting death threats. He knows, the Nation of Islam wants him dead because they phoned him and they told him you're dead.
Yeah,
and then hung up.
Yeah,
I think that's a pretty straightforward. They want him dead.
Yeah.
So he's really out of it. He told his family didn't want them to be there, it'd be too dangerous. But the kids wanted to see their dad, and so he kind of let it happen. And then all this is happening while he's driving, and is panning back and forth to the people working at the venue setting up the chairs. I love this shot too, because the way they pan back, the way they not pan back and forth, but they cut from him to the venue and then to him again. It's done very tastefully.
I think it's almost like he knows that this is his demise.
He knows it's coming. Yeah. He knows it's coming. And there's not much he can do about it. But I mean, if he doesn't stand, if he doesn't stand for what he believes in, then why even do anything? Yeah. So it's he knew it was coming, but he had to do it regardless of the outcome.
And I think that's what's the beauty about people like Malcolm X or Dr. Martin Luther King is eventually you're going to become an enemy of somebody, but the words you're saying is the truth and what you feel, and you to stand up and become basically a martyr for your ideology or a revolution that you're doing. It's just this is how it is.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
And so obviously as a civil rights activist or a revolutionary, if you know your death is coming. And how else are you going to fight it other than, with violence? You're going to have to fucking stand and face the music. And it's unfortunate this happening.
And he definitely does stand to face the music. So he gets to the venue, and then they don't have like basically like the outline. The Reverend said he wasn't going to make it, and he's like, "What's going on here?" Like he's like, "We need to be here for the people," you know. So they get him the outline, you know, because he's upset, and he's basically yelling at his help, you know, because nothing's ready for him,
Right.
you know. And he apologizes to them. He's like, "I'm sorry, I was out of line. It was disrespectful. It's just." He's like, I want to be here he basically says he wants to be here for the people, you know? So he goes out, the Reverend came in, he's doing his thing, and he brings up Malcolm. And right when Malcolm gets up and he starts to speak, he sees his kids right up in the front. And you hear one of the guys I think it was like 4 or 5 rows back. He's like, "Get your hand out of my pocket."
Yeah.
Right. And then they throw it's like a smoke bomb or like a small, like a little explosive device. All the smoke
Something
everywhere.
to distract, I guess.
Just something to distract everyone. Everyone starts to disperse. And right when everyone starts to get up, you see a guy with a trench coat pull a little sawed-off shotgun out and run right up to the stage. This is where we get that smirk from Malcolm. He's like, he knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And there was nothing he could do but except stand at the podium and take it, you know. So the guy shoots him, bam, and he falls back, shoots him again, bam, hits him on the other side. So we got 2 buckshots hitting him in the chest, falls to the ground, and this is where the rest of the group runs up, and I think there's like 4 of them, and they just start unloading on him.
Yeah.
I believe there was 21 shots fired and the 2 buckshots.
Damn.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
For one man.
For one man, I think.
For one man, that's a lot.
You know, come to think of it, like to be someone who's a civil rights activist, a leader, a speaker in the black community, and a revolutionary, like you have to, you know that someday you're gonna die, and when they kill you, it doesn't matter because they can kill as many people as they want, but they're never gonna kill an idea. They're never gonna kill a revolution. So, like what you've said or what you've done as a person in your life, that's still going to go on.
That's the thing is like ideas, you know, and thought process are what's really, that's what would be considered like to them, like to the opposition, evil, you know, but it's like
the threat.
That's the threat.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a person, but once they put that idea out there, now that people start to gather and once
they start to organize,
when
the black community starts to organize, that's when it becomes very threatening to, you know, the white community, or not necessarily, well, not all the whites, but, you know, the establishment, the white establishment. That's why, you know, Black Lives Matter movement now is they're trying to get everyone together to see it as a threat when it's really not. It's just the same old story. Black people just want to be treated like normal and
they want to be treated like normal
have
people.
their own rights, you know.
I mean, yeah, and I still don't understand why that's not a thing. You know what really hurt when I was watching the end of this movie is right when Malcolm's kids got there. One of his daughter dropped her doll, and the guy who picked it up and handed it to her was one of the guys that shot him. It was so, I saw that and I was like,
Yep.
No. He's like, it's all right, little sister. Like, and the thing that hurt wasn't just that; it was that like when he realized that was his daughter and what he was about to do in front of her. You see the guy with a little resentment.
Yeah.
But he had to still fulfill his duty. Didn't have to, but I mean, didn't have to,
yeah.
But he was going to. So I mean, it always makes me wonder what is the inner turmoil like for some people that have to like do these assassinations that are ordered to do it, you know? Do they believe in that order entirely? Do they think it's just? Is there conflict? Like inner turmoil? Like,
I think every man that has their price.
I don't know.
I mean, I honestly, like, when you look back at history, you know, some of the worst atrocities that were committed from humans to humans were people just following orders.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
And every man has their price. Like, when you look back at, you know, the Nazis, like, a lot of them, the Nazi officers, like, from, you know, in the SS, they were college-educated men. These were doctors. These were lawyers. These were, people of, had there not been a war going on, these were people of a status. They were in society.
Highly successful.
Yeah. But these were Nazi officers, and they were told that, you got to, okay, go here, invade this town, fucking gather up all, the Jewish people, fucking murder them. And they're like, okay. And they fucking did it. A lot of them were, obviously raging alcoholics, and the Pervitin.
Also
the Pervitin they were doing, the meth, it was basically meth that they were doing. They were just fucking out of their goddamn minds. So I don't know, you got to be completely out of your fucking mind or on drugs like Nazis were in order to carry out orders like this.
Because I don't believe that whole I was following orders. I can't do it. You tell me that in your heart that like you can't say no. Granted, you would die.
My life over theirs. Their life is more important, I would say.
I don't think I could die, or I don't think I could take someone's life if I knew that it was
fucking wrong.
Wrong.
Yeah.
They
did nothing wrong other than speak. They said words. They spoke truth. Heaven forbid black community organize and come together and just want to live.
Yeah, I mean, taking someone's life just in general is
it's a tall order, man.
It is really tall. That's a big deal. A life is so hard. Like people think it's like life is easy to create. It's very difficult.
There was a thing. I forget what it was, but it was like just an idea of, instead of the president of the United States having someone with the football, right, the briefcase handcuffed to them, and it would have the launch codes of nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Instead, what the theory was, like, or the idea was, instead what they should do is have someone with the launch code in a small capsule, and then implant it inside someone, like next to their heart, kind of thing. Right, and that's where the codes would be, inside someone's body. So if the president ever wanted to launch a nuclear attack on something,
you have to kill somebody.
They would have to kill somebody. They would have to have somebody dead in order to get those codes out. That would make someone think twice about what they're doing. Is it worth it? Is one life worth however many hundred thousands or millions, depending on where this nuclear bomb would be dropping?
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
It's entirely disgusting to think that we've dropped 2 bombs on one single country, and then when other countries got the nuclear capability, we're like, hey, let's take a step back here and control this thing.
It is. It's very disgusting.
It's gross. It's gross.
I mean, yeah. I really don't like Truman. I mean, he was the one who signed away for the CIA to be created. It didn't go through Congress. It didn't go through the people. It was just created.
He just made it.
The CIA is the terrorist organization of the United States. They've always acted outside of the Constitution. They were born outside of the Constitution. They
don't have the same restrictions that like the FBI does.
They do not at all.
Yeah, yeah, they get to do what they want. That's why waterboarding was such a thing for a long time.
And I can go on about this like from the 1960s to the 80s. About
I think really, to be honest, we should probably save the CIA stuff for when we cover like
another movie,
a Manson movie,
something.
But yeah, so what happens is they shoot Malcolm. I know we kind of went off on a tangent here.
Yep, sorry about that.
And no, we're good. It was good discussion. So Malcolm died shortly after he got to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And then the end of the movie basically starts more like a present day. So like kind of like 92-ish, right? So they're like in a classroom, and the teacher's telling them like, like about civil rights and like, hey, you're Malcolm X. And then this is like all these little kids standing up. I'm Malcolm X. I'm Malcolm X. I loved it. I was sitting there cheering with them. Like,
I'm Malcolm X.
I'm Malcolm X. I loved it.
It's like, because this idea lives on.
The idea lives on through everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and how you carry yourself as a person, how you behave, how you interact with other people, like that's just how it is,
Yeah, great.
So
I think we could probably move on to our final topic here and actually rate this movie.
Ooh.
So I'm going to give you the option. You can rate this one. You can rate our next one.
Oh, man,
I'll let you pick.
Honest, I would like to do both, but I mean,
oh, I'm okay.
Yeah. What would your thing be? Let me hear it first.
You want to hear how many
Oh, we're doing out of five.
out of five?
Total?
We always do out of
Oh,
five.
okay.
Yeah, five being the
I
best.
mean, for me, 5 Denzels.
I think for this movie, I was gonna go 4.5. I
Really?
was only gonna take away a half just for length.
How long of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I could get that. I can get
Yeah.
that. Yeah. But for me, 5. I would love long movies.
I love long movies, but I have to try and give this as much of a fair rating as possible. So I took away a half a head for length, just because it's not everyone's down to watch a 3.5 hour movie.
But it's worth it, and
It really is worth it.
Even if you watch it in
It
sections.
really, especially these historical movies, there's so much information and a lot of time went into the creation of this film, you know? So you should respect the time that went into it, the thought process, and also the knowledge that they're trying to give the public, you know, on things that happened like during his life, and then like also more towards the end, more towards his demise. So you should really take that into consideration when you sit down and watch these films, and not just be like, well, I don't want to sit here for 3.5 hours.
Yeah. Don't think of it like as a
You know,
chore.
It's
Think of
not
it
a
as a learning
chore.
process.
It's a learning process.
Especially for this film.
Yeah. This one isn't purely like entertainment value. Like there's information in there.
There's a lot to learn from this film.
Yeah. So take that into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
So 4.5 Denzels. You want to go with Denzel?
I can agree with that. I'll go with that. 4.5 Denzels.
All right, I understand we don't normally use the character that's in the movie, but we're gonna use Denzel in this movie. So 4.5.
He's just a powerhouse.
Denzel Washington. Yep. He's a powerhouse and a half. And
Assalamu alaikum.
These drinks are fucking incredible. God damn. I had no idea I was gonna like this that much.
Yeah.
This is so good. Well, I really hope you guys have enjoyed our content, maybe even learned something, or maybe we've opened up some topics or some discussion you'll have like with family or friends, and don't get angry at each other or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you like our content, please like and subscribe. Right now our content is purely on YouTube. Soon I know I've been saying this for a while, but soon we're gonna be on multiple platforms. If you would like to leave a email or maybe with a comment or possible movie review title, you can email us at nyec.gsc@gmail.com. And just keep watching movies.
Keep watching, keep learning, keep an open mind to certain things, you know? It's always fun.
Good.
Yeah. It's always fun to watch movies. It's always fun to learn something from movies, especially when it's a historical a biopic or some sort.
Yeah.
But again, thank you for stopping by. We hope you enjoyed everything, and like, comment, subscribe, share this video if you liked it.
Yeah. Oh, also, go see movies in theaters. Support your local cinema
That's very true.
when it's safe to do so. And until next time,
Happy movie going.
happy movie going. This thing is so good.
Fuck yeah. It is.